Hi, everyone. We're going to wait just a little bit to wait for everyone else to kind of get on here. Let's see. Don't be shy and start chatting. So if you guys have any questions during the webinar that you would like answered, just go into the chat and ask your question, and I will try to get to it by the time we finish the webinar. Oh, Mike Perna's on here. It's my lucky day. Now I'm a little bit nervous about that, Mike. So we will give it about another 30 seconds, and then we'll kind of get into this and talk about it. Maria is on here with us as well. So I am in Arizona. So if I start looking red or sweating, it is extremely hot here. And so the background is not my normal background, but I did want to make sure that I got on our webinar and did not cancel it. Oh, shoot, I got to call out. Let's do this. Okay, let's get going. So first off, my name is Shauna Rubel, and I am the owner broker of Shauna Key Team in Billings, Montana. And kind of just give you a little bit of quick snapshot about my business. I started real estate when I was 23 years old. I had no clue whatsoever what I was doing or what I was getting myself into, to the point I remember I said I was going to go to real estate school, and everybody was like, oh, that's commission-based, that's commission-based. I was so naive. I did not even have a clue what that meant. I remember after a couple of weeks of working, I was like, okay, I wonder when I'm going to get paid. That's when I learned that I actually had to sell houses in order to get paid. So very interesting, story into it. I really went in green. I did not know anything. And I guess the way I kind of sum it up, if you're thinking about going into real estate, and hopefully you are, if you're on this webinar, is oftentimes I tell this story about a piece of raw farm ground. So for many of us, we think if we're going to go into real estate, we got to have all these things. And for me, obviously I did not. And I think so many of us have this thought that we have to have everything together, be a certain way to be successful in real estate. And that's just a myth. It's not true at all. And so it's like, if you take a piece of farmland, so let's say this sheet of paper here represents a piece of farmland. Ask yourself this question. Do you think this piece of ground, farmland, cares about how old the farmer is? It does not. Do you think this piece of farmland is going to say, I will yield the best results because of what kind of vehicle the farmer drives? It does not. Or about what kind of education the farmer has, or who the parents of the farmer is, how much money the farmer has in his checking account. The farmland doesn't care. Only thing it cares about is that farmer going to show up every single day. And are they going to plant these seeds, and they're going to till it, and they're going to rake it? Are they going to actually work it? And if the farmer shows up and it doesn't care about its age, or what kind of vehicle it drives, or what their family they came from, or their background, or their education, but they just show up and work, that piece of farm ground yields extraordinary results for that farmer. And this piece of vacant farmland or farm ground actually represents the real estate market. The real estate market does not care about those things. It doesn't care about your age. It does not care about what kind of car you drive, or if you have a college degree or not. And it doesn't care about who your parents was. Only thing the real estate market cares about, are you going to show up and are you going to work it? So when we go through this webinar, I want you to kind of think about that. I want you to take like those limiting beliefs out of your mindset and really listen to what I have to say, and not put all these restrictions on you on, I have to be a certain way, or act a certain way, or dress a certain way, or look a certain way, or be from a certain family in order to have success, because it's not true. So just a little bit more kind of, one thing I've been asked, and actually I get asked a lot, and so we're just going to deep dive into it, is what is like the income potential on being a real estate agent. And what motivated me to be a real estate agent was a couple of different things, and I will kind of go into that. But the motivation to be a real estate agent should look different for you than it does for me. And success should look different for you than it does for me, right? Like how I view success should look different. But also the reasons we get into real estate should look different. But the reason I got into real estate was I did not come from a family who was in real estate. Actually, matter of fact, my mom raised 4 kids on $7.25 an hour. And so I did not have that background in it. But I also had my son at the time. Actually, when I'm in real estate, I had 2 children. But the story I like to share is my son was an asthmatic at 18 months old. I literally rolled over one morning. He was gasping for air. He could not breathe, and I had to rush him to the hospital. And when I left the hospital, he had had an asthma attack. And when I left, they said, okay, well, here is this nebulizer. It has to be plugged in constantly. Or if you have $750, you can have this nebulizer for your car. And I was like, well, I live 45 minutes from the hospital. I obviously need the nebulizer to the car to get him even to the emergency room to potentially save his life. And I did not have that $750. And I just felt like, okay, this is not okay. I'm a mom. I need to show up for my kids. Did not have a college degree. I was 23 years old with 2 kids. And I thought, okay, what can I do? And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to real estate because I love to drive by, see houses. And I thought for sure I was going to drive a sports car, wear high heels, and cute little dresses. Little did I know, the first 15 years of my career, I was usually in muck boots, jeans, and I drive a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So things changed along the way. But I got into real estate because it was a way for me to make money. And it was a way to make sure that my kids could have what they needed in life, not what they wanted, right? Like my kids are adults now. We all assume, we want kids to have what they need. And they assume, I guess I should say, they need everything. No. So real estate was able for me to provide a life for my kids. It was also a way for me to help my mom. It was also a way for me to help my brothers. So the income potential with real estate is just, the sky is the limit. I tell people I get to make more money in real estate than most attorneys and doctors who went to college and they are in all this debt and they have college loans to pay back. I went to real estate school and it was like $315 at that time. And I make more money than most doctors and attorneys. So income potential is truly what you said it to be. There is no ceiling. And I remember after being in real estate a couple of years, I had a coach, and I remember my coach saying, what would you do if you made $100,000? And I thought, oh my gosh, there is no way I will ever make $100,000 in real estate. That would be great. I remember setting my goal for after 5 years of being in real estate, if I could earn $120,000, I was going to be knocking it out of the park. And that was the most I thought I would probably ever be able to make. So I do want you, while we're here right now, is think if you made $60,000 a year, how does that change your family? And what would you do with it? And then what I want you to think is, what would you do when you make $100,000 a year? What would you do with that money? And how would that change your life? And then I want you to think about what would happen if you made $250,000 a year. And the reason I say that number is because my coach said, what would you do if you made $250,000 a year? And I wanted to fire him because in my mind, I never thought I was going to be worth that or even worthy of it or have the ability to do it. And I just remember thinking he's unrealistic. That's not possible. I'm not going to make $250,000 a year. Why am I even paying this coach to coach me? And little did I know that now I make 7 figures a year than in real estate. So the potential income, and I know you guys all say it so much, but it's really, truly what you make of it. And do me a favor right now, if you're on here, take a sheet of paper, and I want you to, in the corner of the paper, I would like for you to put a number, because I'm not a very optimistic person. I'm very, like, I try to look at how things could go wrong. But, and every one of us can be knocking out of the park on being a parent or in our relationships or our faith. What I want us to do is, when you look at your finances right now, where you are at, what is the percentage that you are really knocking it out of the park? Okay. So from 1 being, you're just like the scum of the earth, you think, you just sit on the couch, eat potato chips, you don't care about where the money comes from, you're just barely getting by, you have a lot of debt and things like that, to 10, you're just like a hero, you're killing it, you've knocked it out of the park. Where on the range from 1 to 100 would you fall in to that? So are you at a 25? Are you at a 40s? Or are you killing it, at 100 or 90 or 50? So whatever that number is, I just want you to write it down on a sheet of paper up in the corner. And then what I want you to do is I want you to double that. I want you to have the mindset in real estate, you can always double on what we are doing right now. Meaning, if you feel like you're at a 40 when it comes to your finances and what you want to be able to make money, I always believe we can always double what we are doing. And real estate is a great way to be able to do that, to give us financial security and create wealth. So if you can double it and do 80% at what you're doing now, what would that look like for you? An example would be like, if you're able to save $1,000, you really have the ability to save 2. If you can save 2, you can save 4. If you can save 4,000, you can save 8, and it continues to go. Kind of like for me with listing appointments, I'm like, if I can get 2 listing appointments, I can get 4 listing appointments in a month. If I can get 4 listing appointments in a month, I can get 8 listing appointments in a month. Or I can make $100,000 a year, then I know if I can do that, I can make 200,000. Well, if I can make 200,000, I know I can make 400,000. And being in real estate, not having that level over your head, that's the lifestyle and the mindset you need to have. You will always be doubling your income. Another thing is with real estate, one question will be like, people like, why should I get into real estate? Do not get into real estate for the money, even though we were just talking about money, because that is most of your all's questions on here today is, how much money will I make? The thing is do not get into it for the money, because there is a lot of hours, a lot of stuff that goes into it. But if you kind of go into real estate with a servant's heart and you love to help people, I mean, you get excited when somebody's been renting for years and now they get to paint their little kids' bedrooms pink or blue because they have the freedom to do that. That is a great, it will make you show up every single day. The money is a secondary, but if you truly love helping people, real estate is a great way to feel fulfilled and feel like you have a purpose. Because I think so many of us, I know before I became a real estate agent, if you go to a job, you clock in, you're making money for someone else, you do your job, and then you go home and you're tired and you're exhausted and you're not excited. But I know in real estate, when I get to go home, I'm still tired and I'm excited, but I love it, because what I know I did that day is I changed people's lives, and that's a great feeling. So again, do not get into real estate for the money. It's a great way to make money, but I promise you'll have entered the burnout phase of real estate. But if you go into real estate because you love helping people and you just want to be a part of somebody's home buying journey, either if it's buying or selling, and you really just want to feel like you have a purpose on this earth, real estate is a great way to fulfill that need. So let's also talk about the freedom of real estate. Okay. So I will be 100% honest with you. The freedom of real estate is why a lot of people get into it. And I always tell my team members, I want them to have a life by design. But with that being said, I will be 100% honest with you, because I tell people we're real estate agents. We can sell salt to a slug. So I can sit here and tell you on all the great things and why you should go into real estate, but there's also some negative things, right? And that comes to the freedom of real estate. You know, so many people's like, well, I get to create my schedule. Yes, you absolutely do. And you can be home with your children if you have kids when they're sick, or if you want to travel, or if you're not a morning person and you want to start your day at 10:30, that's your option to do that, because you get to design what your day looks like. But I will tell you, being in this industry since I was 23 years old, that is also the reason most people do not make it, because they do not have someone there holding them accountable. So the reason we get into it is the reason we oftentimes fail. So when you are an agent and you're looking to, you know, go interview that broker or finding which office that you should go to or which team you should maybe join, I want you to keep in mind, find a place that's going to hold you accountable. Kind of like here at Shauna Key Team, we have it framed for our agents and we say, we hold the people we love accountable. And the reason I do that is I know if they are allowed to just sit at home and not make their calls and they don't work for a week or so, they're going to call me and say, hey, Shauna, I've got to get a job because I don't have a paycheck coming in. So when you're looking for a team or a brokerage to go to, one, make sure they are going to allow you to be flexible on certain things, but also make sure they are structured and they have proven systems to hold you accountable, because to make it in real estate, oftentimes we do need that accountability piece. So let's look over here in the chats on some other things that people are asking. So Maria had asked, what is the balance between money and time? You do not have. Okay. So the balance between money and time, that's a great question. Thanks, Maria, for asking that. That question there is, I'm hesitant on how to answer that, because it really is going to depend on where you hang your license. And let me explain what I mean by that. Is if you go to a brokerage and you're all by yourself, that is what I call a single agent, right? So if you have to do your lead gen, your paperwork, your marketing, write your contracts, do your own TC, and you're spending all of this money, so you also have the financial part of that responsibility. You also have the time in there. You don't have a lot of time. Like when you're sitting down at dinner and someone has a question on one of your listings, like the age of the hot water heater or the roof, you're taking time away from your family to answer those questions. And also, I feel like personally, if you're a single agent, the balance between time and money, it's really hard to justify the amount of hours you're spending in real estate for also the amount of money you're making, because you're putting a lot of time into it and you're putting a lot of money into it. And I'm trying to make these long answers short. So if I do forget something or I leave it out or I kind of don't finish it, please reach out to me personally. I will jump on a call with you and kind of go into detail. But what I will say, an agent on a team, I always say, if you want your name in lights and you want to be a rock star, be a single agent. But if you want to make money and have more money in your checking account and have time to do the things you love with the people you love, then you need to be on a team. And I tell people this, I own a real estate team and I own a brokerage. I make money off the agents on my brokerage side and I make money off my agents on my team side. So whatever an agent decides to do does not bother me. If they want to be a single agent, great, join Freedom Real Estate. If you want to be a team agent, great, join Shauna Key Team. But I will tell you, from doing this, the agents on the team side makes more money and they actually have the freedom and the time to be available for their friends, their family, or the lifestyle that they choose. And what I mean by that is this. When you're on a team, and it depends on what level team you're on, you're going to have someone there doing the paperwork for you. You're going to have someone just came in. No, I'm going to let him grab his backpack. No, you're great. So you're actually, sorry about that. I'm borrowing a office and a gym today to jump on this webinar. So I have to apologize. Sorry. I will get back on the topic here. You actually have the time to go out and have hobbies, and you also are making more money because you don't have the expenses or the stress of paying those monthly bills or paying all these things that comes along with being a real estate agent, because oftentimes the team leader is paying that. Not saying that your team leader is paying all that for you. You guys might have a different structure. I can only talk about our structure at Shauna Key Team. My agents have zero expense, from MLS, closing gifts, to their snacks at their open house. They don't have any of those expenses. So obviously my agents make more money, but they also have admin behind the scenes that's helping them write the contracts, also doing the transaction coordinating for them, handling the marketing, a listing manager, answering the questions when somebody does text in at 7:30 at night asking the age of the roof or hot water heater. My agents are not taking the time away from their loved ones to take that call or answer that text message. So it allows them to be more present. So really, Maria, to answer your question, the balance between time and money is ultimately going to depend on if you go to a brokerage or if you go to a team. I'd recommend sitting down with both and seeing if the team model is going to be best for you or the brokerage model. So what other questions that we have? Roles and responsibilities of a real estate agent. Thank you, Madison, for asking that question. That's also a very good question. So Madison, the roles and responsibilities of a real estate agent, again, vary from being a single agent to being a team agent. And I kind of touched on that with Maria's question. Is a single agent, you're doing it all. Like literally, you are responsible for everything. Yes, you go to brokerages usually, and they'll train you, and they might have a TC that oversees a few things, but for the most part, you still are listing the house, scheduling the photos, writing the description, placing it on the MLS, putting a sign on the property, putting the lockbox on the property, picking the sign up when it closes, picking the lockbox up when it sells, making sure that you're making your posts on social media, making all the changes on the MLS, making sure that you are keeping your clients updated weekly, making sure you're returning all the calls of everyone who had a question on your listing, etc. So there's a lot of things that goes on. Again, your team might look different. There's not a certain way to run a team, but and again, I can only talk from the Shauna Key team model. Our model is we have a listing manager that puts the listings on the MLS for our agents. They answer all the questions. We also have a transaction coordinator who takes it from A to Z. We have a leads management team. So from 6 a.m. to 11 or 11:30 p.m., any lead that comes in goes to our main system. And then we actually send that out to our agents saying, can you work this lead in under 5 minutes or less? If they can, then we transfer that lead. The rule is if our agents claim a lead, they actually have to physically call that lead. But if they can't make that call, then just don't claim the lead. So on a team, our agent's job is to build relationships, really watch out for their clients, go and show the home, obviously come back, make sure that they are negotiating for their client's best interest when it comes to the offer and when it comes to the inspection. But they're allowed to be more present because they have admin support all around them that's handling the paperwork and the other things. So the roles do change for the task. Dustin asked a question. How important is hard work and honesty when it comes to real estate? Hard work is very important. Again, depends on if you're on the broker side or the team side. But I think your work ethic, no matter if you're on the team or on the broker side, is very important. In real estate, I tell my agents, if you show up and give me 4 solid hours a day, you're going to make over 100,000 take home a year. So just when you are at work, don't be looking on, Facebook, don't be scrolling. But actually, if you work hard during those 4 hours, you can have a great business. And honesty, here's the thing. If you don't have integrity, and my definition of integrity, and it might be the definition in the dictionary, I'm not sure. But when I think of integrity, it is someone doing the right thing even when someone is not looking. And what I mean by that is you have to have integrity and you have to be honest, because at the end of the day, your name and reputation is all you have. You don't be an asshole. Like, yes, I did cuss on the webinar. I know you're not supposed to, but just don't be that person, right? Like, be honest with your clients. Don't lie to your clients to get a deal. If you don't know something, say, I don't know, and be honest with them and have those come to Jesus meetings like, hey, this is really unrealistic. If you want to try it, great, we can try it. But just being honest and not being a yes person is what's needed in real estate. It's so funny because I think I'm pretty nice person, but my team would tell you I'm a very direct person, and I'm thinking like, I'm not direct at all. Like, you should hear what I'm thinking. But I don't shy away from conversations and difficult conversations. So if you're thinking about being in real estate, you definitely are going to have to be able to have those conversations with people, and you're going to really have to be able to be honest with them, even though it might be hard for you to have those honest conversations. The next thing, I heard it takes a while to get going in real estate. Would a team be the way to go if I wanted to get going quickly? That's a great question, Perna. Again, it all falls back to my opinion and what I think. But absolutely, being in it and watching it and actually owning a brokerage and owning a team, I can only speak from my experience. But what I will tell you is this. My agents own the brokerage takes a good while before they start making money. So let's actually break that down. And I don't know the statistics 100% right now, Perna, so don't really go quote me on this. But from my understanding, it takes about $16,000 for a new agent, what they're going to have to spend before they're going to see their first paycheck. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, I did not have $16,000. Heck, I had to borrow the $315 off my dad to go to real estate school when I was 23 years old. So I did not have the $16,000 set aside to actually go into real estate, advertise, market, and really do a good job for my clients. And also, you have to find leads, nurture leads. If you are thinking about being a real estate agent, I would really strongly, again, I have the brokers and the team, look at doing the team model, because Perna, what I see is agents do have a tendency to make more money being on a team, and they get into production a lot quicker, because what you are doing, you actually have their strength in numbers. You actually have a team. You're going to capitalize on your teammates' listings, which then in returns kind of gives you a call into your office, which then also you have inventory to do open houses around. You have inventory to door knock around. So you're actually going to leverage the team and their success and their listings, which ultimately, I'd argue with anybody, very few people as a single agent can get started in real estate and make the amount of money in their first year as a real estate agent, as an agent on the team, because they just already have the systems, they have the leverage there, and they have the inventory to kind of work around to make money quickly in real estate. Next question I have is, this is from Maddie. What is the reality of the highs and lows of being a real estate agent, and what is the failure rate? Okay, So I will tell you this, 7% of the real estate agents make up 93% of the income. So again, 7% of the real estate agents make up 93% of the income. And let's kind of talk about that and why that is. So keep in mind, 87% of real estate agents you encounter right now are within their first 3 years of being in real estate. A lot of people do not make it through their first year. And if they do make it through their first year, usually they do not make it through the second year. The reason being, and I feel like this is like a two-part question. So let's talk about their failures and let's talk about the high and lows and the seasons and all that good fun stuff. So the reason I think that is my personal opinion. I feel like, Maddie, the agents did not hang their license with somebody who is going to pour into them. I am a firm believer that who you get into business with when you first start real estate truly matters. I've seen agents who just would be phenomenal agents, right? Like they have what it takes to be very successful, but they went to a brokerage or had a team leader that competed against them or did not give them the tools and took the time to build that skill set for them. And ultimately, it makes that agent feel discouraged. And it also, that agent does not make money quickly. And it's hard to stay in real estate if you're not making money because you do have those expenses. So with that being said, I do feel the reason a lot of agents have failure in the first year is ultimately they did not go to the right brokerage or team leader to have success. Again, that's my personal opinion. But let's talk about the highs and lows when it comes to real estate. So the highs and lows when it comes to real estate, I feel like agents have high and lows because they don't lead gen. And what I mean by that is lead gen is going after new business, right? Like we make phone calls, you can door knock, do open houses, call your sphere. So in real estate term, that's considered lead gen. So many agents will get that first couple of paychecks and they're like, oh, I broke through the wall. I'm going to make all this money. And they get that first paycheck for 10, 15, 20,000. What do? They run out and get a vehicle and they're like, oh yeah, I worked hard. I grinded and now I've got this paycheck. I'm going to go on a vacation. And they justify that instead of one, saving it. And two, once they get business in the pipeline, they think that's the most important thing. So what I mean by that, they get a contract and then they're like, oh, I absolutely need to focus on making sure this deal goes through so I can get paid. And they put all their energy and focus on that. And then what happens, they get that money and they spend that money because they think next month they're going to have money like that, or in 2 months they're going to have money like that. And it doesn't happen. And that's when you get peaks and valleys. So if you want to not have the high and lows in real estate, even though when you get that property under contract, and even though you have some closings coming up, never stop lead genning. As a real estate agent, your number one job is to make sure that every single day you show up, that you are going and chasing new business. It is not your job to make sure that deal goes through. Yes, as an agent, you need to watch it, you need to make sure of it, and you need to work on it. But that cannot be your number one focus, because you're going to take that one deal and you're going to spend that money and then you're going to have to go get another job. If you want to really stay in real estate again and not have those high and lows, when you show up to the office every single day, you need to be picking up that phone. Do not be just sending emails. Do not be just sending text messages. Do not be sitting around waiting for the phone to ring or your team lead to give you leads. It does not work that way. You actually have to be very proactive and make sure that you're lead genning every day. If you want to know what lead gen is and what that looks like, definitely reach out to me. I can take you out to coffee or we can have a conversation on the phone. But I do think that's where the high and lows come from. So next question is, let me see. What should I do every day as an agent to be successful? Michael, great question. And I think it kind of goes back to this, what I just went over. Me personally, I think to be successful in real estate comes down to about three things. One, you actually have to have people to talk to about real estate. So you need to always be hunting for those people. Two, you actually have to know what to say, right? And I think that's where us team leaders come in, making sure our agents know what to say and how to have those conversations and know how to handle rebuttals. And you've actually got to say it enough times to those people. So you got to have people. So we search a new business, Perna. I think then you actually, agents, to be successful, you have to know what to say in tonality. And then I think you need to say it enough times. And I think that's when the lead gen comes in, to where you're actually door knocking, you're going to open houses, you're making your calls, you're reaching out to your sphere, and you're saying it enough times during the day. I think if you just stick to that, real estate is very simple, and actually it's very boring if we're going to be honest about it. Because if you show up and do those things every single day and continue to hit the nail on the head and repeatedly just do it, you'll have success in real estate. Can I leverage this job to buy properties like rentals? Absolutely. So at Shawnee team, again, I don't know your brokerage and I don't know your team model. Again, however, for my team is I encourage my agents to build wealth through real estate. Actually, as part of our mission, our vision for our agents is to create millionaires and teach them how to have wealth, what I call mailbox money, and build wealth through real estate. So what we like for our agents to do is we actually don't take a commission on any of the properties they buy. And we only take a 1% on the properties they sell, because we want to encourage our agents to utilize their commission as a down payment to purchase a property. I think if you're in real estate and you are not buying real estate and you're not buying investment properties, my son is 23 years old and he owns 10 rentals right now, you're missing one of the greatest benefits of being a real estate agent. Share a success story. Yeah. So what are some of the success stories that my agents have had? So I shared a story with my son. He's 23, just turned 23 in March. He already owns 10 rental properties. He is a full-time student. He's finished up his master's in accounting with pre-law, and he makes over $100,000 and some a year being a full-time student. So oftentimes I think if he can be a full-time student and be so young, there's no reason we cannot all have that level of success. You know, a lot of my agents, they have the goals. Again, I'm going to say this, and I've already said it once, success should look different for everyone. My level of success should look different, or my version of success should look different than someone else's. But, you know, I do know I have an agent on my team, and from the very beginning, she's like, I want to take home a minimum of $100,000 and some a year. She does that year after year, time and time again. What I really love, though, is my agents sharing stories, how real estate has changed their lives for their family. And to me, I think that is success, when their kids can go on school trips now, or they're taking their families on vacations that they never thought of, or they're buying a house for their parent, for their mom that's worked super hard. To me, that is success, right? Like it just is crazy. Like my team members, how they've got to achieve all these things. I had one of my agents last year. She spent a week in Hawaii, and then she flew and spent a week overseas. You know, it's hard for a lot of people to be able to do those things. One, because you have to ask for days off from work, and two, to have the funds to do it. So my team members have had a lot of success. If you want to talk to me and just reach out and say, hey, like, this is what I want, and this would be my life by design. Do you think real estate could offer that? I'd love to have that conversation with you. Questions? So one of the ways someone just had asked, thanks, Lisa, what are different ways to get involved with your team? The ways to get involved with my team would be reach out to us. You can reach out to me personally by sending me a text. My ringer is always off, but I promise you I will always call you back. Perna, you should maybe take notes on that, return calls. That's also a way to be successful in real estate. But you could call Shauna or call me at 276-970-5201, or you could always reach out to our team and tell them that you'd love to sit down and have a meeting with us and learn a little bit about what it's like to be part of our team, what are our standards, and I'd be open to having that conversation. So you could either give me a text or give me a call. So any other questions right now for me? I knew you would like that. I knew that'd get your attention, Perna. So anyone else have any other questions about real estate or being on a team, what that looks like, what you should expect? And again, this was like a quick, overview of it all. So if you have more questions, or you actually want to know what does lead gen look like, and what does realistic income potential look like, and what should you prepare for your first, year of real estate, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there on social media, Facebook. Again, send me a text to the 276-970-5201, and I will gladly answer your questions. I will open our playbook. I will share with you how we do things. If you're an existing agent and you're just wanting to know how do you actually double your business, right? Like how do you go from 10 deals a year to 20, which our agents often do, I would love to talk with you about that as well. So please just reach out. Thank you to everyone who jumped on this webinar with us and took time out of your day. I greatly appreciate it and look forward to talking with you guys at some point.